Nancy and I need to have. I got an open mind on this. I'm trying to get both sides of the issue. I know Vern had some comments about the cumulative costs that at least the paper will probably you had some
well, I think
numbers that you quoted.
The things that were worrying me about it was the health insurance down the line. And I understand that, I'm not sure on this, but I understand that this is a state law or a federal law. There's nothing in there about that, Joe?
No, the health insurance is a contractual issue between the town and the PBA as is stated in the bargaining unit agreement that currently exists. The retirement costs are paid wholly and 100% by the state of New York. For any employee you have, whether this employee works anywhere in the town, including the highway department, the town contributes into the retirement system for that employee, as well as the employee has a contributing amount they have to also pay. That goes until the employee retires. Once the employee retires, the state picks up the entire cost. The health insurance issue was brought up and tied to the retirement issue. I addressed it in my response to the town board, indicating that the purpose of that entire agreement was to make it cost prohibitive and only to be used in emergency situations if an officer retired did not have health insurance. There are many assumptions that were not brought up by the committee regarding that issue, and it made it sound like every employee was going to retire was going to take the health insurance at 50% of the cost of the premium, which is, I can't even believe that would happen. But I put it in my report. It's clear in my report and my feelings on that, and I believe there are a lot of assumptions that were not included in the committee's report.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because I think a lot of people were under the impression that it was going to cost the town in the future a lot of money.
It was based on their cost factors were based on the health insurance issue, and that's if every retiree in the police department from this day on took advantage of the health insurance premium that's in the contract currently. If you retire before age 55, you would have to come up with 50% of your health insurance premium. At the current cost, if you have a family, that's probably going to cost you close to $10,000 a year out of pocket for health insurance. Most employees are not going to retire at 50% pay, half pay, at 45, 46 years of age with the intent of paying $8,000 to $10,000 out of their pocket for health insurance. They're going to look for other resources or not even retire. The purpose of that, we put that in the contract, was to provide, in case someone did stay here until they were age 62. I think if you look at national figures, you'll find that most officers are retiring anywhere between the ages of 45 and 55. And so, based on the current contract we have, the current plan that we have, it makes it cost prohibitive for an employee to retire and get that benefit. If they do not take the benefit when they retire, they cannot come back and get it again. They've lost it.
Chief, doesn't that mean that we're paying that huge premium to the policemen on the force? Is that what
No, I'm not sure I understand the question.
In other words, if it's half, it's 10,000. If he has to pick, that means we're paying 20,000.
If the employee, you see, you're assuming that the employee is going to retire.
No, that's not what I mean. I mean, say the police, say he's on the force,
right?
Active member. Mm-hmm. Is that what it costs us for policemen, 20 grand a year back for insurance?
Well, it all depends if you're single, you're married, or you have it's family. It all depends on that. The costs go up. I think the top cost is around $17,000 right now, but they're talking 20, 30 years down the road. Costs are going to go up. There's no doubt about it. But what my point is that the figures that were in the committee's report were assuming that everyone who retired took that health insurance benefit, and it's my opinion that that's not going to happen because it's cost prohibitive.
And the health insurance costs are, yeah.
Are they higher for the police because of the nature of their work?
No,
everybody.
It's everybody. It's everybody, whether you're a state employee or private or for a company. That's just the reality of the health insurance costs. It's outrageous.
And the numbers thrown around about calls, 70,000 calls about per year that they answer.
No.
Didn't you say you answered about 70,000?
No, I said we answered about anywhere from 75 to 80% of all of the calls in the town of Cicero.
And And what was that number? Do you remember the actual?
Well, last year our number was around 14,000 calls.
Okay. The nature of those calls, could you tell me what the nature of most of those calls are?
I can give you a copy of all of our calls for the whole year, if you'd like to look at those numbers. There's about 45 different categories of calls for service.
Because some of it, we categorize some of it under like safety officer type stuff. where you-
Extremely, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I mean, you gotta figure that in and some of those. I mean, this is all stuff you have.
Yeah, and a lot of data was siphoned through, Don, did Don do a lot of that, John? Don
No, it's
Snyder?
Dave Kirk.
David Kirk, okay.
Well, my hopes,
Who provided, sifted through a lot of data that was provided by the chief, and it was brought up at the committee meetings, and it was made part of the committee report.
I just hope that everybody does, we do the most efficient thing possible. I mean, I like having Cicero police force, but if they can maintain their jobs with the sheriffs and save us a lot of money, they would be safe.
That's just it. Did you listen?
I'm Rick Haynes. I don't need any comments from you. Talk to me, get up here.
Oh, you what?
Does he know her?
I would, she was in
I
there.
understand.
So I just hope that, I mean, it's understandable the guys are gonna, fight for the jobs. It's understandable. So you gotta, and it's also understandable we want to do the cheapest thing we can. I just hope the most efficient thing happens here. We don't have duplicity of services, and things like that, and we don't need them.
That's the
Hard times
reason,
come.
that is the reason that we are looking at everything, and it's safety, service, and savings. And those are the three things that we're looking at. And
But I will say this, for the Cicero Police Department, they've, my own experiences, they've done a more personal job on a lot of things. I was out walking late one night, for instance, they the only ones that pulled over and see if they need a ride or need help. Troopers and everything went by and everything. There's been a number of things. I think they thought I was homeless. But another thing that really struck a chord with me is a while back when they had somebody with an air gun or something was threatening them out here. I don't know about details, but they didn't shoot the guy dead. I mean, every time the trooper shoots somebody, they always come up with a cold comment of, "We got a way to do that. He was threatened." Well, they're allowed to think on the job evidently because they didn't shoot the poor man in an air gun. I mean, there's little things like that add up.
you're
In the
right,
police department,
you're right. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you, Jim, for the numbers. 63,000 or whatever it was this year that it was going to cost us more. The county, is going to go up 8 or 9% a year. And there's no way that I think if we go back, that the Cicero department's ever gone up that much in a year. So in a year's time, we're going to be paying more than we need to if we go with the sheriffs. I think another thing is we need to really give this, everybody needs to give it great consideration, because I think once we do away with the police department, we're not going to get it back. I think it'd be very, very difficult to get it back if we're sorry we did it. And so I think that's another consideration that needs to be made. Plus, you're going to lose your volunteers. We put in a lot of hours that we don't get paid for, that you are benefiting from. And so that's another consideration. All of these functions around town that we do traffic or we help out one way or another. The sheriffs aren't going to come in, they're going to be paid overtime to do that kind of work. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't understand if we, as Mr. Carl said, if we have well over 80% people in the town of Cicero that are satisfied with the police department, why you're even having this discussion. As Dave said, $65,000 the first year in addition, more than what the sheriff would cost for next year, is nothing when you have the satisfaction of the town of Cicero residents. And we know the response time with the sheriffs next year is going to be increased. It's not going to be the same service, nor the personal service that the police department now gives the town residents.